In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can set up some particle transitions using the particle features in After Effects. Pretty much what we used here is the CC Particle Systems 2 effect, and I'm going to show you how you can use it for additional transitions, and this works for text or graphics as well. Just as a kind of to speed this up, I'm not going to walk through an actual creation. I'm just going to show you settings that you would use. And also as a reminder that there is a plugin that you can purchase called Trapcode Particle, and it's a much richer version of particles. After Effects particle features very limited in what it can do, as you'll see here in a second. But there is a plugin called Trapcode Particle that you can purchase and put into your After Effects, and it gives you a much richer idea of using particles. So let's get started. So one thing that you can do here is you can create particles coming in to show text. This is just simple text. You can also do this with graphics as well that you import. And as you can see, it's basically just a transition where you're animating movement of a mask, and then you're matching that to the movement of the particles. There's another way that you can do this where you can also animate it to a mask. Again, this is just text, but you can do this with text or graphics. And in this case, we're animating the opacity of the particles, where they'll start out with 0 opacity and then they fade into 100% opacity until the particles are done. So let's just kind of show you. What you would need is a layer that's got your logo or graphic on it. In this case, it's a normal traps. It's opacity, where it starts off at 0 and then ends at 100%. Then you would create a layer above it that is simply a mask. You're just going to draw in a mask shape, and then you'll drag your particle effect onto the mask. Under your effects, what you're going to adjust is a few things, and I encourage you to play with it. But in this particular case, I've set the particle to the default line particle. It kind of looks like sparks. And one of the tricks to get it to fade in and fade out, let's collapse this a little bit so you can see. Is the color that you set the birth and the death of the particles. In this particular case, to make it look like it fades in from the background, I set both the particles to the color of the background. You can obtain the color of your background by going to composition settings, click on the color, and right here at the bottom is the RGB color code for this that you would just copy. And then when you click on your particle birth color, you can just copy and paste it right into there, and then also into the death color. So a couple of things that we animated in here, and this is why I said that Trapcode Particle is richer, is that once you set the particle type to line, you're not going to be able to control the size or the variations of those sparks. So they just are always going to be like that. It's when you set some of the other ones like star, then all of a sudden I can adjust their birth and death rate. But as you can see, stars and spheres and polygrams and cubes, not going to be really, they're going to look kind of hokey in my opinion. Sparks isn't all that great either, but with a more richer Trapcode particle, you can actually create little dots if you want. So a lot more control, and also looks like it actually fades in from the background. I have it set to constant so that it is a consistent constant birth of particles. And what I've animated on the mask is under the producer, the position. And as you can see when I scroll through, see this little dot here? That's the position of the sparks. So I'm literally animating the sparks moving across. I'll close the producer up and then show you the particle itself. And this is what I was talking about at the beginning, is that I've also animated the opacity under the particle. So it starts off at 100% opaque and then slowly fades away, and I've synced it to the producer position so that it creates this illusion. For our other one that just kind of passes over, it's going to be a little different. On the logo itself, I have a mask. It's just a regular rectangular mask. And you can see that I've animated the path of the mask for it to slowly grow. So it starts off little here, and then I've animated it so that it grows across until it reveals my final logo. And then on the effects for the particle systems for this particular one, so you can see one thing that we adjust is the producer, meaning that I started off to the edge, and then it comes in and I keep it on pace with the mask reveal, so that it creates that illusion that it's fading in. Another thing that I do with this is I set it to jet sideways, but I really play with the particle, particularly its birth rate and longevity, so that I have a really high concentration of particles in here, so that it's almost opaque and then slowly trails off. And that's what's going to be the trick, is that you got to keep it really, really opaque on the edge of the layers so that it doesn't look like a complete wipe. It looks like the logo is kind of being faded in. So make sure that you adjust the birth rates very high and longevity very high. Let's go back to our original one here. And again, this original one fades in. It does not have a mask on the actual logo itself. It just has a shape layer here that we've dropped onto the shape layer. So it's really important that you understand that if you drop it on top of your text or on top of your graphic directly, it's not going to give you this effect. You're not going to be able to do anything with that. You're going to want to draw a shape layer on top of it and apply it to that. And then your logo or graphics is on a layer underneath it. Okay. And this is how we create a transitional effect using basic particles in Adobe After Effects.